Hello, hello, and welcome to Oracle Hour. My name is Sabrina Rising. I'm a spiritual teacher and a psychic medium, and it's my honor to channel spirit on your behalf. Welcome to my show. It's so good to be here with you live. I love being here with you all on Sundays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. Hello, community. I can see that we already have messages in the chat. We have questions. We have community members saying hi. Hi, Dietrich. Hi, Johanna. Nice to see you. Hello, Patty. Welcome back. Hi, Rhonda. Hello, Shiloh. It's good to see you all. Thank you for being here with me live. Tonight, we are talking about how to lovingly set boundaries without the fear of losing love. And we're going to go deep into this topic. Why is it so hard to say no? What comes up for us when we want to say no? What happens to our nervous system when we try to move out of self-betraying habits and conditioning that we've learned along the course of our human experience in order to keep ourselves safe. Okay, so I can't wait to dive into this topic with you. I'm just going to do my usual couple of housekeeping things that I do here. Going live on Instagram. Here we go. And we're back. Okay, beautiful. For those of you, so again, if you're new here, put your question in the chat. I answer questions on a first come, first serve basis, unless, of course, you're a community member. If you're a community member, then you get priority in the chat. So something to consider while you stay for the entire broadcast. I say this not only because I would love to have you here for the whole broadcast, but also because the messages that come through are for all of us. So even if I don't get to your question, even if I'm not interacting with you personally, that whatever you're hearing me channel for someone else, whatever's coming through for someone else is likely for you as well. We don't get here by accident. We're always exactly where we're supposed to be, hearing the message that we need to hear in the moment that we need to hear it. So stay with an open mind and an open heart and be willing to receive, whether you are actively participating or not. Okay. And again, if you want to join our membership, the Lyriel, my trusted moderator, is going to put the link up here for you. If you want to consider joining our community, there are 2 membership tiers. There's the link to join. There's the Seeker. If you just want to get your feet wet and see what we have here and what all the fuss is about, there is the Seeker option. Also, the Inner Oracle Community Member, which is, of course, the membership that I offer. This gives you access to all my exclusive members-only content, classes, workshop, everything from inner child healing to how to manifest to inner peace to mediumship and psychic channeling gallery events. Everything is there exclusively for members only. As an Inner Oracle Community Member, you also get access to our Oracle Gathering. My next Oracle Gathering is Saturday, November 22nd. It's Saturday mornings. It's 2 hours of pure channeling. So I do a psychic gallery event that also includes mediumship demonstrations. So again, for those of you that are here tonight and you want mediumship, if your loved ones are here when I'm channeling for you, of course, I never say no. I always convey the message. However, I don't take specific mediumship requests. Okay. So if it's in the flow for me, beautiful. Otherwise, please either come to the Oracle Gathering or book a one-to-one mediumship session with me. We have a promotion going on for the month of remembrance, the month of November. The veil is so thin and our loved ones are right here and they want to communicate with us. And so many of us are coming to a cycle of completion as we end off the year. We're in deep reflection. It's a beautiful time to connect with your loved ones, your ancestors, your spirit guides. So take advantage of the promotion that we have. For mediumship, I believe the checkout code is Ancestor, and Lyriel is going to put that on right now. In a moment. There we go. There's the coupon code for the readings. Go ahead and book the mediumship reading under the readings link, and the code to check out is Ancestor. Okay, so that's there for you to consider while you're staying here for the whole broadcast. All right, beautiful. Hi, everybody. Good. Oh, we have more people here. Good. All right. So for tonight, we're going to jump into this topic on how to say no without the fear of losing love. Okay. So first of all, whenever you're doing something new, whenever you're enacting a new behavior or you're changing the way you operate in your relationships or you're learning a new way of operating, it's going to trigger fear. Okay, so this is natural and normal. We get uncomfortable when we start stepping out, especially when we start to advocate for our needs. We start to claim our power. We want to, we want to learn to put ourselves first. And this can be a very, very scary experience because in early childhood, for so many of us, we learned to comply. We learned to be congenial. We learned to go along to get along. We learned to behave in order to gain the approval of our caregivers and to essentially fit in with our environment so that we felt a sense of belonging. And oftentimes that sense of belonging was founded on a foundation of self-betrayal, which means that I'm going to forego my needs, my desires, my natural impulses, who I want to be, or my natural self-expression in order to maintain the love that I so desperately need. Right. And so because we want the approval of our environment, we learn to manipulate ourselves to make ourselves more pleasing to those around us. Okay. And this is so deeply wounding. And it leaves us feeling very dissatisfied. It can leave us feeling dissatisfied. It can leave us feeling very even lonely and isolated in our relationships. You could be in a loving partnership with someone, or you could be in a friend situation, in a friendship with someone, or even at work, in a work environment, and still feel very lonely not because you're not surrounded by people, or not because people don't love you, but because we're not really being true to ourselves. We're not really setting the right boundaries in order to make sure that we're getting our needs met in our relationships. Okay. So, when we meet people and we develop friendships or relationships and we have things in common, we discover our shared values, we discover mutual interest, and it's all good and it's all fun, it's all great, and oh my God, it feels amazing. We just want to be able to, be with this person forever, and that's fine until we start, things start to sort of normalize and settle in, and all of a sudden our differences start to arise, and we start to notice some things that perhaps make us uncomfortable, or we notice things in that perhaps we don't necessarily agree with, right? Like a clash in values that we thought we shared. And so how do we stay true to ourselves, learn to set boundaries without the fear of losing love? You might have to actually confront the fear of losing love in order to acknowledge and to realize that love can't be taken away from you. Okay, this is a deep spiritual concept that I advocate for those of you that are spiritual aspirants, for those of you on a healing journey, personal development journey. The first step in love is learning how to fall deeply in love with yourself, so that you can amplify that love in relationship with your partner or whoever it is in your life. So understanding that you are the source of the love in your life is first and foremost. Okay, so that would be the first place I would really start to work on, is where is this love coming from? It's not coming from the person I'm in relationship with. It's not coming from my friends. It's not coming from my environment. It's actually coming from source consciousness, of which I am an expression of. Source is expressing itself through me as perfect love, and my conditioning is in the way of this perfect expression. My conditioning, my fear of abandonment, my fear of betrayal, my fear of loss, my fear of missing out, my fear of being left behind, my fear of not belonging, and so on and so on and so on. We have so many fears, and for so many of us, they come up in a variety of different ways. Every single one of us has our own healing journey, our own soul contracts that we've sort of agreed to when we came into this incarnation. And that's what we're here to work through. But that doesn't mean that we're not all connected in love. We are all source consciousness expressing itself as love. And our job as humans is to learn how to peel back these layers so that we can experience this love fully. And setting boundaries is one way that we can do that. Setting boundaries, not in the sense of building up walls, right? But in the sense of honoring yourself and not aligning with energy that doesn't feel like it aligns with you, right? For the sake of, getting along, or for the sake of maintaining the peace, or for the sake of having some sense of security. Here's the thing: if you're betraying yourself in order to stay close to or connected or bonded to another person, you're not really bonded to that person, right? There's the illusion of closeness and connection that's really on a foundation of self-betrayal. It's not on a foundation of integrity. Okay. So, and of course I teach this every week in different ways. And in this week, it's coming through as a lesson in boundaries, being able to say no, or say, I don't have the capacity for that right now, or being able to say, I can't help you with this, or, that's beyond my scope, or I've reached maximum capacity, or, I need a break from this, or however you're going to lovingly learn to say no in your partnerships or in your friendships or whatever situation you find yourself in, to see that as an act of self-care and self-honoring, as opposed to being concerned about the reaction, the disappointment, or the withdrawal of love that might happen on the other side. Okay, so this is a wounded child projection, right? So as children, when we didn't behave the way our caregivers wanted to behave, for most of us, so many of us, our caregivers withheld love, right? So when we said no, or we didn't give them what we perceive they wanted from us in terms of behavior, in terms of performance, we felt like love was being withheld. And we take this deep wound that happened in early childhood and we project it onto our relationships. And this is an unconscious thing that we do. We go into partnership, and as soon as that bond is created, it gets activated, these fears get activated, and now I am doing whatever I can to maintain the love, while I'm not really connected to my own truth, my own rhythms, my own awareness, my own feelings, my own needs, right? And so, and for so many of us, many of us might be doing this consciously, but for so many of us, we are doing it unconsciously, because it's just a learned behavior. This is how we learn to survive in love, is I must somehow do whatever I need to do in order to maintain this idea of love in my life, without truly honoring myself. And when I'm not loving myself first, the fact of the matter is I'm not actually loving in my relationships. Okay, this is so important. If you are not engaging in deep awareness, self-awareness, self-honoring, self-empathy, and the right boundaries that you need in order to thrive, in order to feel good about yourself, then you can't possibly bring your best to a relationship. You can't possibly be in the flow of a relationship without feeling like you're disconnected, like you're not fully in it. Does this make sense? And if anybody has any questions about what I'm channeling right now, please feel free to put them in the chat. I love that you're saying hi to each other. Hello. It's great. So, and by the way, if you're on Instagram, you can see me, but I can't see you. So please come and join us on YouTube at Sabrina Rising. Okay, so boundaries. So how do I set a proper boundary? So here I could be in a scenario where I'm in a relationship and all of a sudden, my partner thinks it's a good idea to do X, and I am against X. It makes me uncomfortable. It's not something that I want to participate in. It's not something that I want my partner participating in. It's just not something for me. So how do I share this without feeling like I might upset my partner, and my partner might withdraw love from me, and there goes my relationship, right? So now I'm in survival mode. I'm like a little kid all over again, and I want to make sure I hold on to this relationship. And so this is what so many of us do. And it doesn't matter how successful you are, how intelligent you are, how, sophisticated you are. The ego gets very sophisticated with time. It's just the same childhood wounds replaying themselves in different ways. This can still be triggered. This early experience of the fear of abandonment, or the fear of betrayal, or the fear of loss can still get triggered regardless of how much work you've done. So it takes awareness. It takes the willingness to be in your body and to feel those feelings, and to check in with yourself and say, what's going on here? Is this coming from fear? Or is this a choice I'm making where I feel empowered in saying no, right? Oftentimes we say no because we're afraid, or because we are rejecting the idea of something. Perhaps your partner's trying to introduce a new concept to the relationship. But if it's something that's just a hard no in your body, I don't want to participate in this. Ways in which we can lovingly say no is, look, I can see that that's very important to you, but it's just not something I have the capacity for, or it's just not something that, really aligns with my values. But you're free to choose. You're free to do what you want. And this allows you to stay in your truth without rejecting the person or rejecting the relationship. It's just a matter matter of not participating in the thing that's being introduced or the concept that's being introduced. Okay. So for those of us that are overgivers, that, we want to take care of people, we want to make sure that we're always there for the people we love, I really want you to be honest with yourself in this conversation and take a moment to really reflect and say, is there a part of me? Is there any part of me that's overdoing, overgiving, or maybe saying yes to the things that I really don't want to do in my relationship because I'm afraid of losing it? I'm afraid of losing the love in this relationship. Okay. So really be honest with yourself about how much you're giving that it actually honors you versus how much you're giving that actually depletes you. Okay. And my metrics for giving, I love to give in my relationships, my friendships, with my clients, with my community. And I know that when I give to the point where it stops bringing me joy, I've gone past that point of energizing. I've gone past that point of even giving from a pure place of love. Now, if I'm giving from a sense of obligation, that's not really giving either. Okay. And energetically, other humans can feel that when we're giving just to compensate, or giving, just to from a place of fear, just to secure my place in the relationship. Okay. Here we go, Lyriel. I have my moderators having technical issues. Good. So I'd love to hear if anyone has anything to share about this. What's Rhonda saying? Rhonda's saying, hi, Sabrina. I realize my preteen needs reparenting too. I've been focused on my 5-year-old, and maybe my preteen was traumatized as well. What's your psychic gift for me? Thank you. Okay, good. I'm going to answer psychic questions here in a moment. Good. I love that your question is related to the topic. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to jump into live readings here in a moment. I promise. We always go there. I just want to really zero in on this topic tonight because it's coming through very strongly, because every week we answer questions about relationships, love. These are the ones that really, love, health, money, life purpose. Those are the type of questions. And the answer is always the same. Okay. It's always about honoring yourself. It's always about developing the awareness to understand what your needs are on a very primal, basic level. What are your needs, and how are you creating a structure for your life that accommodates those needs? And how are you maintaining loyalty to yourself and your needs? How are you honoring those needs when you're in a relationship? As soon as we fall in love, as soon as we're partnered with somebody, or even with your best friend, that this can happen, or in a situation, it can be with your boss, for example, wherever there's a fear of losing the respect, the love, the consistency, the commitment of that relationship, we begin to betray ourselves, right? We that little wounded child kicks in and says, I have to do whatever it takes to maintain this. And this is where we start to lose ourselves. And this creates a vacuum. It allows for bitterness, for resentment. It allows for all kinds of low integrity behavior. Okay. And this is so important that when we create, Dietrich says, yes. And I think it causes me to retreat from my community, try to recover. Yeah. Okay, good. Beautiful. Exactly. So so this is how projection works. And I'll say this because Dietrich mentioned it. Okay. So when we project, we withhold the truth of how we feel, because it's how projection is. I withhold the truth of how I feel, and I withdraw from the relationship, and I project how I feel onto the person, right? So if you're feeling, depleted or drained in a relationship, and you're not being honest with your partner about it, or your friend about it, or your community about it, you start to withdraw because you're not in your truth. And when you're not connected in truth, you're not connected at all. So there's no real pull to spend time with people that you can't really be in your truth with. Okay. Because you're not fully there. You're not being fully seen. Okay. And you're not really experiencing your own energy in that relationship. And so we withdraw because we don't really want to spend time around people we can't be honest with. And then we start to project how we feel. We start to project that this person doesn't appreciate me. This person doesn't see me. This person doesn't love me. This person doesn't, whatever the projection is, whatever you're feeling about yourself that you're not sharing, we project onto other people. This is just how projection works. And you can see that the more you do this in a love relationship, the easier it is for the two of you to drift apart and to just kind of one day feel like there's just nothing there anymore, because you're not there anymore and there's no truth in the relationship anymore. Okay. So this is how it works. And so it's at any point in time in any relationship, you can actually reverse this. You can stop this behavior, and you can make a decision to be fully transparent. Transparency is the currency of trust. So I'm fully transparent with you. And I'm fully transparent with you. I'm fully transparent about my truth and what I'm sharing and how I'm feeling. And I'm creating a context. And this is very important for those of you that don't know nonviolent communication. It's so important to practice communicating your feelings in a non-violent way. So when I feel because I have a need for, which is not about the other person, but it's really about advocating for your own needs. Okay. Steffi says boundary discussion is so important for many of us. Thank you. I feel like I'm doing this more, both with kids and dogs. It's important. I feel the dog boundary. I feel that one very personally. It's so crazy. So yes, I mean, this is one of those things where you just have to like give yourself a break. Like even if for so many of us, like even just or if visualizing what your life would feel like if you just give yourself that space, maybe that's helpful before you go off and start implementing boundaries, is just see what it is that you need. How could you benefit more from a little more time to yourself, or a little more time in your own energy, or perhaps putting down an activity that's not really serving you, or saying no to something that just isn't bringing you joy. Even if it's just one thing that you can let go of this week, you can see the energy the life comes back in your cheeks, your body. You start to feel more energized. You start to feel more open, right? This is wonderful. Like I actually have my time back, and I've noticed this in my body over the course of my life. Whenever I say no to something, or I walk away from something that's not serving me, I instantly feel a sense of relief. Like, oh, I just got my own energy back, or I feel more embodied because I've honored myself. And when you honor yourself, you become more magnetic, you become more available for authentic love, for real love, for the people in your life that can hold your no, that can see your no as an act of self-care, and that are happy and willing to meet you there. How are you going to know who these people are if you never say no, if you're never true about what's actually going on with you, if you're never honest about what your needs are, if you're not in transparent communication with the people in your life? How can you tell if your relationships are really based on anything authentic? And your soul self knows, your nervous system knows, even if your intellectual mind is playing tricks on you and telling you this is how it has to be, right? Your body knows when you're engaged in something that's not in alignment with what actually fills your heart, what actually feels good in your body, and what actually serves your highest and best good. Okay, so there is a loving way to set boundaries. Use some nonviolent communication, use some open-ended language. Don't use attacking, defensive language. Learn to sit through the fear. It's going to be uncomfortable in the early stages as you start to exercise what your boundaries are. For those of you that don't know what your needs are, do a little research, a little homework on what are my actual needs in relationship. What do I need some time alone? Do I need less phone calls, more phone calls? Do I need a date night? Do I need, space? Do I need, time for honest reflection, communication? Like figure out what your needs are in the relationship and start advocating for them. Because if you don't ask, you'll never get it, right? It's up to you to lead yourself in all of these situations to make sure that you are getting your needs met. And then to ask for support in getting those needs met in your partnerships, whether it's friendships or romantic partners. And if your partner is not willing to support you in getting your needs met, guess what? They're not your partners. They're not your people. Thank them for letting you know who they are. Thank them for the lesson, and then bless them and release them so that you can go off and create communities and relationships and friendships that actually sincerely care about you and your needs and want to meet you in that place of love. Okay. And so Jolie says, yes, I feel that. Paying attention to how you feel around people. 100%. Just notice how you feel when you walk in a room. Notice how you feel when you're in someone else's presence. Your energy is everything. It just communicates in our bodies when we're tuned in. Okay. And you can set from a spiritual perspective, you can set boundaries on a soul level too. If you have someone that you can't access in 3D, for example, but that you feel like your thoughts, they keep showing up in your thoughts, and they keep showing up in your dreams, and they keep showing up, you're having unpleasant experiences, ask yourself, is this thought mine? Or do I feel like, there's some kind of energetic cord here being formed by the other person? Because don't forget, as universal intelligence is all around us. So there is no independent thought. Okay. There's no thought that doesn't include every single one of us. It's just a matter of being tuned into it. As you're going to see here in a moment, when I channel universal intelligence on your behalf and I answer questions and do live readings, it's all here. And so what you can do is set an energetic boundary by communicating with that person's higher self and saying, this isn't welcome, right? This isn't a hard no. You can even visualize putting a circle of light around you, or a shield, or something that helps you, some visual aid that helps you feel like you are protecting your energy, right? You're in alignment with love, and you're not allowing uncomfortable, triggering emotions, attacking emotions sort of come into your field. Okay. And there's a way that we can do this if we're anchored in our practice and we're really aware of what our needs are. Okay. So again, boundary setting from 3D all the way to 5D is something we can do to maintain our well-being and to make sure that we're honoring our needs and advocating for ourselves and only aligning with energy that feels good. And when you behave this way, when you operate as someone who's not willing to compromise this commitment to yourself, you're going to attract the people in your life who can meet you there. The right relationships, the right partnerships, the right friendships, the right communities. These are your people. Okay. Of course, this is my wish for you and me and all beings everywhere. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Hi, Canada. Hello, Angela. Nice to see you. Beautiful. All right. Let's talk about boundaries, you guys. Or if anybody has any questions about this topic, or if you have anything you want to share, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, we will take the first question. Hi, Rhonda. Pardon me. Here we go. I do a lot of talking, so I'm going to take some water. Okay. Rhonda says, I experienced that phenomenon when I removed my energy from the relationship with Michael, but not before I neglected parts of myself. Okay. So here's what I want to say about that. It took, and as a result, I feel imbalanced. Okay. So it took losing parts of yourself to end the relationship with Michael, right? So, I mean, sometimes we learn through it's not sometimes, all of the time we learn through our human experience. Sometimes we know what needs to be done before it happens. Okay. So in your case, Rhonda, you had this experience in your relationship with Michael, and it feels like you went all in, and it feels like you lost yourself a little bit, which can happen in the early stages of a romantic partnership. Who doesn't want to get lost in the love or the chemistry or the connection, and all of the feel good vibes that happen in the early stages of partnership. And then the real work, once the dust settles and the real work kicks in, you realize, okay, I have a fear of abandonment, or I have a wound around this. And so, you notice, like you said, you betrayed certain parts of yourself. And then it was through that self-betrayal, the pain of that self-betrayal, that you recognized, okay, I need to let this person go, right? But not without advocating for yourself first. The beauty of what happened between you and Michael, as I'm feeling it, is that it was a wonderful mirror for you to see, oh, look at where I'm not loving myself, right? Look at where I'm still holding on to fear, or holding on to the belief that I'll be abandoned if I'm fully seen in a relationship. Okay. So I got the lesson. Yeah, you sure did. Okay, beautiful. So this is what I'm saying. Like this is what partnership is for. I know this is like not what a lot of people want to hear, but it's not about the partnership. It really isn't. It's lovely to have a partner, but this is not the goal, is to be in partnership. The partnership is a container. It is a sacred, accelerated container that is going to show you all the places where you're not loving yourself. And if you look at it from that context, your partner becomes your teacher, your guide, your mirror, your counterpart in inner work. And if you're blessed and holding out for someone who can meet you at that level, you can actually find a partner you can do inner work with, that you can actually mirror each other's innermost pain and wounds that you're going to transcend together. Okay. Rhonda says, I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to get the lesson. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. And that's the attitude. That's the right attitude. Right. And so now, Rhonda, I want to say to you, because we're now channeling on your behalf, it's really important for you to be so anchored in that boundary, because the vulnerability is still there. The vulnerability between you and Michael is still there. There is fondness. There is attachment that's been formed. Where there is an attachment, where there is an actual physical attachment, emotional attachment, there's an energetic one that lives in the spiritual plane. It lives in universal intelligence. And so you want to make sure that even though you've shut the door in the 3D, maybe you've blocked his number, or you said, don't call me, or whatever you did in 3D to like set that boundary to end the relationship, on a soul level, there's still that energetic cord. Okay, so you want to make sure that you really do the work to not think, not let your thoughts go there, not ruminate over the relationship, or because that creates an energetic cord and keeps you tied to this person. Okay, so what is Rhonda saying? This is the first time I thought about that. The first time. Okay. Okay, good. So again, making sure you set that energetic boundary because the vulnerability is still there. So, and he might come back around. I have a sense that he hasn't fully let you go, but I also know based on the energy that you're coming in with today that you're ready to just be like, no, I'm done and we're done and this is over and I'm finished. And just really, really honoring yourself. Keeping in mind what I said earlier, that no is an act of self-care. Okay. Not no from a place of resentment or bitterness. The energy behind the words really makes a huge difference. Okay. So we want to be able to say no from a place of love. Like, I see you, I hear you, and I'm still saying no because I love myself too much, right? I love myself so much that I'm willing to not interact with this energy anymore. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Rhonda, for sharing. Okay. I'm really not interested in a relationship with him. Okay. Beautiful. Excellent. Maintain that, and keep integrating the lesson, because you want to make sure that now with the experience you've had can do one of two things. It can build up a wall and say, oh, I'm never going to let myself open myself up that way again, or make myself vulnerable in that way again, or I'm going to make extra careful the next time I fall in love. This is also not the right attitude. Now you're going back out into the world from a wounded place, right? You want to integrate the lesson and say, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to expand my capacity to love. And I'm ready to fine tune what it is that I'm calling in as I continue to love myself more. Okay. So your job is to love yourself in the places where Michael showed you perhaps you weren't loving yourself, and to fine tune that so that the next time around, you're not guarded, you're not jaded, you're not cynical, you're not fearful, you're just more open, and you're coming in with more wisdom about what the kind of relationship you want to manifest. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Questions. Dietrich says, hi, Sabrina. So great to join another Oracle Hour. So great to have you here. How do I stop people pleasing? I ran into a school mom. He and I sensed coldness from her, which only made me respond with more warmth. I want to stop. Yeah, this is a fawn response. It's a trauma response. You can keep the question on the screen, please. There. Thank you. Okay, so this is a freeze, flight, fawn. This is one of those. It's the fawn response is like where you kind of draw when someone is rude to you or abrupt with you, and you sort of like draw in. This is a reflection of early childhood. Okay, so this happened in your childhood where someone was abrupt, perhaps mother, really abrupt. And that sort of the way to soften her was to either be more loving or more friendly or more compliant or more affectionate or just to be a good girl. Okay. And so this is what you learned in childhood. And that's where the people pleasing comes from. These are behaviors we learn in our early childhood environments because this is the conditioning phase. Okay. So the way you stop people pleasing is you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to set those boundaries and to be uncomfortable and with yourself. Okay. So when someone is cold to you, okay, you said, so, there's another perspective here. Okay. So I want to honor that you were saying you were being more warm because it made you nervous and you wanted to smooth over the situation, and her coldness triggered you. Okay. So I want to honor that. But I also want to say that it's okay to be warm because that's what you're choosing to be, regardless of how people are with you. Okay. So, it's not, I don't want to give you tit for tat advice because that's not spiritually accurate. Okay. So you choose how you want to respond to people, regardless of how they are with you. Okay. You get to choose that. You get to choose to be unconditionally loving and, the person that you want to be, regardless of how people are with you. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with not getting warmth in return. You have to be okay with, however they're responding without any expectation on the other end. Okay. So you can be warm and unconditionally loving as long as you can do it with equanimity, having zero expectations on the other side. Okay. If you are expecting something, then you're still hooked in. This is still a trauma response. It's still fun. And what's required is a lot of deep self-empathy and self-worth work, just honoring that you are worthy of love, you're worthy of healthy connections, you're worthy of healthy relationships, and that you don't have to people please in order to make the situation feel safe for you. Okay, this is inner child work that's required. Okay, so you asked me how to stop people pleasing. You got to do your inner child work. You really do. You have to choose to love and accept yourself. Yes, my mom, she loves attention. Yeah. And that's what I feel. That's why that she came right in. I saw the dynamic between you and your mom. And, as soon as you soften around her, she softens, right? And so you learn to do that. And as soon as you sense that you're not getting the attention that you want, you've learned to soften. And that's how you manipulate. It's very manipulative what we do, but we do it because we're just trying to get our needs met. Okay. So look at it from the lens of compassion. All human behavior is an attempt to meet a need. That's it. That's all you're trying to do is get your needs met. So, and if you don't like yourself because you're like, ugh, why am I people pleasing? Like, why am I giving more to this person than I want to just to make myself feel more comfortable? It's because you don't feel safe in conflict situations because of the way that you were raised, and specifically for you, the relationship with your mom. Okay. So again, we have to do the deconditioning work, the inner work to heal the relationship with mother and father, the caregiver relationship. Healing that relationship is so important. Even if you cannot heal it in 3D, you can heal it within yourself. You don't need them to participate, but just seeing how it imprinted you and how it shaped your identity is the awareness is already enough. Like even after tonight's conversation, you'll never go back into that situation without thinking about what I said. Dietrich says, yes, I have such high expectations for positive or neutral outcomes. Yeah. I mean, this is such a trap. You can't have peace if you're always expecting things to be positive and neutral, right? Equanimity means I'm okay no matter what's happening around me. I'm okay. Because things can be good and things can be not good. I can be high, I can be low, but I can always have peace because that's my baseline. And you have to choose that. You have to choose that for yourself, that I choose to be equanimous, regardless of people's responses or lack of responses or how they are or how they are not. Okay. So you choose how you want to express yourself and then follow that. And then, the people who are open to your warmth will be receptive, and the people who are not won't be. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with letting that go. And that doesn't mean anything about you. And it certainly isn't a threat to your survival in your adult life. It might have been in childhood, but it no longer is, right? So that's the gap we need to bridge between, what it felt like in childhood versus the reality of what's happening now. Okay. And this feels like the parent of a child who's interacting with your daughter as well, if I'm not mistaken. And let me know. You could verify in the comments. Feels like that, or it feels like someone who's involved in this scenario with your daughter. Yeah, I would again, I feel like your daughter really needs you to be the example of like embodied strength and courage and boundary setting. This conversation is for you tonight. And of course, anybody else who's watching live or watching the replay, it's that energetic boundary of like, I know myself and this is who I am and this is how I choose to be. And I have to stay in alignment with how I know myself and how I choose to be no matter what. Okay. Your daughter really needs that example. And the more you can set that for her, the more she will embody it and the less problems she'll have at school. Okay, Dietrich? That's my message for you tonight. Beautiful. Patty, nice to see you, Patty. Patty says, hi, Sabrina community. I want to continue cultivating a new loving relationship, yet still nourish my personal growth. Can I feel love and still enjoy this new relationship? This is new territory. Of course you can. I mean, what is the point of being in a relationship if you have to live with this fear of losing the love? Like that's, think about think about the insanity of what we do, right? Think about how we want to be in love. We want to be in sacred union. We want to be in connection, in intimacy with another person. And yet we get into that relationship and we start to hide ourselves. We start to hide our real feelings. We start to hide our likes, our dislikes, what we want, what we don't want. We start to like make, we're more concerned about making ourselves look good or perhaps pleasing the other person, that we're not there anymore. It's not you. And it's therefore the love, the feeling of love that you so deeply want is not being nurtured. It's not being cultivated, right? In fact, it's actually being manipulated and distorted. And now there's like, there's no resonance between you and this other person. Okay. So this topic is in sync with what I've found. I've been thinking about this week. I'm so glad we're connected. I feel at home with this man, but want to avoid losing myself in a relationship again. I can imagine a long-term future with him. Beautiful. Okay, let's chat. This man that you're with is very gentle, very loving. He's open to going slow. He's not rushing you. Okay. In fact, you're the one who needs to sort of like talk yourself off the ledge. Okay. So he's happy to go at your pace. I feel like he's very into you, which is beautiful. This is a wonderful experience. It's also very new, right? So, like I'm trying to, read in between all of the pixie dust. That's wonderful. It's great. I want you to enjoy it. And at the same time, staying grounded in honoring your needs. Okay. So that means, taking time for yourself. That means that, you don't have to spend every minute together. That means that you can still engage in different activities that don't involve each other. That means that you're still going to take time for your children, or you're still going to take time for self-care. Okay. So even if you have to structure it in the early stages, just to discipline your inner child, that it's safe to be alone. It's safe to be in my own energy. I don't need to be hooked into this person all the time. These are good preliminary, like, change of behavior steps that you can do. Okay. So just structuring your time and like advocating for yourself and making sure he knows that you're trying to do things differently. Okay. So again, as I said earlier, transparency is the currency of trust. Okay. So just be transparent about what normally happens to you in a relationship and how you don't want to lose yourself fully. Like you want to be fully in love, but at the same time, you really want to stay grounded in your own energy. So it's going to take some work. It's going to take some practice. And I feel like this relationship will accommodate that. I really do. I feel like he's going to move at the pace that you want to go at. You get to set the tone here, Patty. Okay. And of course, continuously staying in communication with him. I feel like either this person has a daughter or there's a younger woman around. And I feel like, either you're meeting her soon or something like that, but this is a positive connection. Okay. So, maybe there is a little part of you might be worried that, is she going to take time away, or will she have more of his time or something like that? But there's a couple little triggers coming down the line, the trajectory that I see in this relationship. I want you to just, again, this is an opportunity to really trust yourself and trust the trajectory that you're on and the tone that you've set in this relationship. Okay. So when things come up that feel they could potentially threaten the bond that you've built with this person, that's your choice point. I can either let this take me out of the relationship, or I can let it take me deeper into love for myself, and honor those wounded parts of me that are terrified of being abandoned. Okay. That's for you, Patty. And of course, anybody listening. All right. So again, setting boundaries and being transparent and just like honoring your own needs and really making sure the first priority in your life, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. When that's your foundation, all other relationships are great. They're wonderful to amplify with. They're wonderful to co-create with. They're wonderful to, enjoy life alongside with, but they're not your lifeline. You are your lifeline. Spirit is your lifeline. Okay. Your relationship with Source is your lifeline. Don't compromise your spiritual practice because you found love, right? This is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to deepen our spiritual practice because we found love, so that we can open ourselves up to more love and to the amplification of love. And we can always stay centered and rooted in where the love is actually coming from. Okay. Because it's not coming from him. It's coming from you. He's just catalyzing it for you. He's the catalyst. The relationship is the catalyst for you to experience this love that's always been inside you. Okay. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Patty says he doesn't have children, but I have met his older sister. Okay, good. There's the female I'm talking about. He is supportive of my self-love journey. All right, good. Beautiful. Um, yeah, yeah. So I love it. It's all good. Keep on the same trajectory. And, there is you are an Inner Oracle community member, I believe. And so go and watch Achieving Inner Peace. That's a 6-week program that's for members only. It's in our community. And all of those classes speak directly to this early childhood conditioning, coming out of fear, coming out of trauma, learning how to love yourself, learning how to meet your own needs. You can also watch the peace process, which is a practice I taught the other day as a community member. Okay. All right, Patty, thank you for being here tonight. Beautiful. All right. Who is next with questions? Jolie. Hi, Jolie. Hello, everyone. Hi, Sabrina. Would love to know what is coming up for me. Thank you, as always. Okay. Let's see. I mean, okay, we're still trying to figure out where to work, where to put our attention, what am I going to do? What's my purpose? There's still a lot of these questions coming to the surface, and I feel like the more you commit to this one thing, which is very this could be, I think it's either like insurance or something like that, like the really um yeah, it feels very masculine. It feels very corporate, very structured life, career path that you're considering. I feel like the more you consider that, the more your body shuts down. Okay. So, and I want you to pay attention to that, Jolie. Your body is telling you where you belong. And that's a clear sign that you don't belong there. Don't try to override that. In tonight's topic, we're really talking about self-betrayal, right? And what that feels like and how we do that on a moment-to-moment basis, whether it's I'll have some of this, even though I don't want it, or I'll do that, sure, even though I don't want it, or maybe this is a good idea, even though I really don't want it. Okay. So look, and then we spend years trying to undo all of our acts of self-betrayal after we realize that we've been blaming other people for the fact that we're living a life that isn't authentically ours. Okay. So this is the trajectory that you've been on. And to undo this, you simply need to come into the truth of what you deeply desire and what you deeply want. There's something you're not being honest with yourself about. Okay. So I really want you to get clear on what that is. And then I want you to not be worried about it. Yes, exactly. Johnny says, okay, good. Thank you for validating. So I want you to be very honest with yourself about what is it that I want to do and how do I want to express myself, and don't make all these excuses. You're safe, you're provided for, you're going to be just fine as long as you stay committed to the vision that you have for the life that you want to live. I know that there is a daughter, and I know that you are providing for this daughter, and I know that you are largely responsible for this child, and you have support. It feels like you actually have more support than you think you do. You've just been either afraid to ask for it, or feeling guilty, or not wanting to be a burden. And so Jody says, we talked about working more children, my daughter's school. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this is on point. If that's what you really, how does it feel when you think about that? Think about, okay, I want to work at my daughter's school. So think about that. How does it feel in your body? That's what you want to go with. Like, then you watch the ego kick in and say, yes, but what about this? And what about that? What about this? What about that? Don't try to figure it out with your mind. Okay. The mind's job is to keep you safe. It's to keep you limited. It's to keep you in the paradigm that you've always known, so that you can have the same predictable results you've always been familiar with. Okay. That's what the mind's job is. The soul self wants to be fully self-expressed. It wants you to step out of 3D consciousness. It wants you to step out of your conditioning, and it wants you to be fully self-expressed. Okay. I actually believe that all human beings, unless we learn to be fully self-expressed in our authentic essence, we become neurotic, and we create all kinds of malaise, all kinds of disease in our body, all kinds of disordered behavior. Okay. So Jody says, I'm moving forward with it. It feels right. Okay, beautiful. So this is what you need to do, is to move forward with it. you be honest with yourself about what it is that you deeply want. And I want to say too that there are resources available to you for this thing that you're doing. I don't know if it's family with resources, or support system with resources, or funding or grants or something, but there's resources available to you. Just commit to it and give yourself fully and watch what happens. Okay. And I can't emphasize this enough. I get chills when I talk to you about this, because I know this from direct experience. Okay. So just move forward in full faith and knowing. Okay. As soon as you start to go into your mind and you start to second guess and you start to strategize ways out of this thing that you've you've said yes to because it just feels too scary, then you're kind of, you're tampering with the energetics of it. Okay. So you're sending a very not clear signal about what you want to create. All right. So stay on this course and just commit to it fully. All right. This is the path I feel serves your highest and best good. Okay. And you already know that. I'm just confirming what you know. All right, Jenny. Thank you for being here. Okay. Who else? Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Sabrina. I realize my preteen needs reparenting too. I focused on my 5-year-old. My preteen was traumatized as well. What is your psychic hit for me? Thank you. Okay. Here's how I want to answer this question. So the preteen trauma is not different than the 5-year-old trauma. It's just looks different because you're at a different phase of your life. It's a different context. So it hits differently. There are different circumstances that are particularly traumatic at that stage of your life. It's like when you do inner work, it doesn't matter where on the timeline in your life you go back to, whether you go back to all the way to age 4, or you go back to age 14 or age 25. It doesn't matter where you are on the timeline of your life, because it's all just the same thread. Okay. Wherever you, and I really believe this as someone who has facilitated inner child work for many years, whenever you drop into that core fear, that core wound, at whatever stage you were in your life, the event that you're able to process and fully release actually heals the entire timeline. Okay. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the specifics of it. I understand that the teenager has probably different needs, different behaviors, different desires, but fear is fear. And that's all we are undoing. Okay. So I really want, for those of you that are listening, for Rhonda, for those of you that are watching live or the replay, don't overcomplicate your inner work. Okay. So all we're ever talking about is how to come out of fear and how to embody unconditional love. Okay. So again, it's just the same fear expressed in a different way. All right. So that's what I want to say about that. My psychic hit for you is to, yeah, I want you to come out of self-protection. This is normal because you just ended a relationship and you're kind of like, you're grieving and you're licking your wounds a little bit. So take the time you need to really heal and focus on loving yourself, but I don't want you to be guarded and, be so hyper vigilant. Okay. It's the hyper vigilance that I want to guard against, because that's really what's coming through as something that is can easily shape your energy right now and your way of being, your way of operating as you move out into the world. Okay. So I want you to soften and allow the experience, the pain, to break you open. That's what pain is for. A heartache is not, a heartbreak is not to, it's not meant to close us up. It's meant to break us open. Okay. So I want you to see it from that perspective and trust that, it's going to be up to you, Rhonda. Like, as soon as you're ready to meet someone else, as soon as your heart feels like it has the capacity to fall in love again, to go through this cycle of healing and learning again, it will be there for you. It's just, you get to choose it. Okay. Nothing is happening outside of your will. All right. So you are actually leading this energetically. Rhonda says, thank you. It is the same wound. I have definitely been hypervigilant. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. So it's the same wound over and over and over again. It doesn't matter where you are on the timeline of your healing journey. It just looks different. Maybe there's different perpetrators, there's different participants, different circumstances, same wound. Okay. That's how I want to answer that question. Thank you for being here, Rhonda. Beautiful. Okay. Hi, Laura. Are there any big changes coming in the next year? Thank you. That's a very specific question. Yeah, actually. So, I mean, big is a relative term. I think it's going to be big for you in the sense where it's going to make you uncomfortable. So that's big. There. So the message I get for you is to let go of control. Okay. So really let go of needing things to be a certain way, perhaps letting go of certain ways of being in relationships, just kind of loosening your grip a little bit and softening into the feminine energy, like really just surrendering and allowing things to unfold and learning to enjoy things without being attached to a specific outcome or needing them to fit a certain mold. Okay, so I really, my guidance for you tonight is to soften and to just trust that things are unfolding exactly the way they're supposed to, especially as it relates to personal relationships. There's a romantic connection coming through for you as well. um as you learn to soften and just allow and just enjoy and be in love and be nurturing and taking care of yourself, I feel like you become more magnetic this year, and there's more, opportunity for partnership, for connection, which is something I think you deeply desire. Okay. So I feel like, I actually feel like there might be someone in your orbit now that has mutual interest. Okay. So, and notice your tendency to sort of question their motives or wonder where they're coming from, or wanting to control the whole thing. Okay. So, again, controlling is not a criticism. Being controlling, as someone who used to be very controlling, is something I still work on myself. It's a way that you keep yourself safe. Right. So, learn to manage our environments because we want to keep ourselves safe. We learn to control, our every move, everybody else's every move in relationship, because we want to keep ourselves safe. Okay. So this is the year that you let go of that, and you really just trust and allow that the more you source your power, your sense of love, your sense of peace from something bigger than you, from a spiritual practice, which of course I advocate everybody develop one. If you don't have one, please start developing one, so you can feel connected to something outside of your 3D consciousness. You can connect a higher power, whatever that is for you. As you develop your spiritual practice, which is another big change that's coming for you this year, you will learn to soften and you will learn to trust. I actually visually see you, like, this is a very detailed vision, like, I don't know if you're working from home or something like that, but there is a home environment that is either shifting or you're reorganizing something working from home. Okay. So there's something in your career, your self-expression, what you're doing, that is going to allow you to feel more grounded, more self-expressed, and bring you more joy as well. Okay. I feel like you've been working very hard for a long time. So this is going to give you permission to, yeah, just, again, feminine, softness, allowing, trusting, and expressing. She says, LOL, I'm trying. Yeah, I feel it. Like, there's a real masculine, overdeveloped masculine, right? And that's very common for those of us that are women that have had, not good examples of the masculine, I will say, in our lives, that haven't had good guides or good counterparts. And we learn how to make everything happen, how to do everything on our own, how to survive. That's what creates the controlling behavior and so on. This is something that you are shifting. And as you shift this behavior, it's going to really change things for you in the coming year. Okay. And again, I see some type of physical location that you're working in, either from home or something like that. That's something that's going to either continue or expand in such a way that that could be all that you're doing. Okay. So your work is changing as well, and it has to do with the home environment. So you'll come back and let me know how that unfolds for you. But yes, if you're thinking about starting that home business or doing the home business or expanding your home business, this is the year to do that. Okay. I'm beautiful, Laura. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay. I'll take one more question. Yes. Johanna. Hi, Sabrina. How are you? I'm good. How are you? I hope everything is well. I'd like to ask, what do my angels and spirit guides want me to know regarding career paths, and if they see any future loving relationship? Thank you. Okay. Uh, okay. So I keep hearing like a holistic wellness, holistic healing, or naturopath or naturopathy or something like that, or health and wellness industry. Some aspect of that I think you're still working on developing yourself. And there's a lot of self-doubt and second guessing. So um, I don't know if there is if you're still here, please validate. There is like either a nurse or a medical worker, someone who works in wellness in your ancestry. This is either like an aunt or a grandmother or something. When you asked for your angels and your spirit team, I feel like this presence just kind of came in and is pointing to the fact that you're here to make a departure from I'm a nurse, but thinking about nurse practitioner. Okay. So, okay, there's a nurse, healer, medical worker in your ancestry as well. This is not new, this ancestral line of wanting to be in health and wellness. Okay. So here's what I want. This is why this is so important. Okay. And it could be, like I said, it could be an aunt, it could be a grandmother, it could be maybe an extended relative as well. And you kind of picked up on this thread and what this is how ancestral systems work. Okay. So what you're expressing through your ancestral line, grandma was a midwife. Okay. That makes sense. So grandma's here. Juice, I just got chills. I love it when loved ones show up. So she's here and her message to you is to make a departure. And I love modern science. There is a place for it. There is certainly a need for it. It's not something we can do away with. And, I feel like she wants you to make a departure from the scientific part and like go into the more holistic healing wellness practices. What you're looking for in the career as a nurse is to help people, is to heal people, is ultimately to heal yourself. Okay. And there's some stuff with your body as well. Okay. That we need to look at. So, or at least you have been looking at and you've been working on. So this is the message from her is to really approach your vocation, your calling to help other people heal physically in a more holistic, organic way, like sort of closer to your roots, closer to earth, closer to nature. Everything we need to heal. She's saying everything we need to heal ourselves exists in nature. Okay. So really focusing on that and focusing on the breath work as well. So breathing, exercises, healing, like somatic release, like healing from the inside out. Okay. So again, this is so important. Like the work that you're doing, because I feel like even in the nursing you're going to feel limited. Okay, so even if this is a phase of your evolution you need to be on, this is not where you stop. Okay, eventually you'll move into a more holistic, bring in other practices, bring in other elements or earth nature related elements. This is what she's saying to me. Okay, for you as far as relationships go, loving relationships. Yeah. So, and they're connected, right? So I feel like these two paths are connected. You're going to meet the person that you're going to be with while you're doing something you really love. Okay. So when you're in your joy and you're most passionate and you're really like vibing with what you're learning, the material that you're working with, or what you're manifesting in your life, it's either, I want to say there's a new person coming, and it feels like it's either in a course or an event or a community healing or like a community sound bath or something like that. Feels like literally it can be that. That's how this opens up for you. Continue to focus on developing yourself and your gifts and your desire to serve and your desire to help heal. And don't even think about like, where am I going to meet this person? How am I going to meet this person? Don't be attached to that and watch what unfolds for you. Okay. This is how I see that unfolding. And this is the message that she has. I would love to connect you with your grandmother. She's like, has more messages for you, wants to, I would love to go deeper into this mediumship conversation. So feel free to book a reading at the readings link. And there's a link. And then the coupon for November is Ancestor. So you're going to put Ancestor on when you check out for the discount for November. Okay. Johanna, that's my message for you tonight. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in with me. It is the hour has passed. I don't know where the time flies. I really enjoyed this time with you. Thank you for being here in community with me and for all of your beautiful questions and for allowing me the honor to penetrate your energetic field, to connect with your angels, your guides, your loved ones, and communicate with you whatever your heart needs to hear in this moment. I love to do this work, as you can see. If you want to join our inner oracle community, the link to join, Lyriel is going to provide that. Please consider it. It's a beautiful, beautiful, loving, supportive environment for empaths and seekers and healers and people who are just want to know more about how to incorporate magic and healing and spirit into your everyday life. That's the link to join our inner oracle community. Our oracle gathering is coming up on Saturday, November 22nd. You can just come to the gathering if you want. That's the link to just book a one-time ticket. So you can be part of a mediumship demonstration event, a psychic gallery event if you've never been to one. It's a really fun experience. And of course, to heal publicly in a community environment is very powerful. Okay. It's very powerful to be vulnerable with each other, to receive messages in the collective, and just to experience the power of our loved ones coming forward. Evidential mediumship is very heart opening and can be very transformational. Okay, so consider coming to a one-time event, and if you join the Inner Oracle community as a member, you get free access to that gallery gallery every month. Okay, so I will see you all on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific if I don't see you before that. And I wish you all my love. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Sunday. Good night.